Hello, everyone. There's an important report connected to Social Security that millions of Americans have never reviewed, and I want to explain honestly why that matters so much. This report costs nothing to access. It only takes around 5 minutes to download. And for many people who finally take the time to examine it closely, it results in a noticeably higher monthly payment. Not after a lengthy court battle, not sometime years down the road. A bigger payment can begin as soon as the correction is processed and continue for the rest of their retirement. I've personally seen situations where people increase their benefits by $200, $300, even more than $400 every month. And the reason they were missing out on that money for so long was simply because nobody ever informed them this report was available or showed them how to use it properly. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what this document is, where you can access it at no cost, and most importantly, what you should be searching for once you open it, because downloading the file alone does not change anything. Understanding the exact detail to examine is what truly matters. That's the focus of this video. Stay with me until the end, because the specific item I'm going to tell you to review, the part that can genuinely increase your benefit amount, is something very few people ever explain in a simple way. And once you learn how it works, you'll never look at your Social Security benefits the same way again. Before we begin, subscribe to this channel today and turn on notifications. I regularly share this kind of information here. Clear, useful updates that can directly impact the amount of money deposited into your account every month. People who subscribe stay informed about these opportunities. Subscribe now and let's begin. The report is known as your Social Security Statement. It's completely free. You can access it through an online account called My Social Security at ssa.gov. And if you have never created an account before, the process only takes about 5 minutes. Once you sign in, your statement will appear immediately. And what you'll find inside is something countless people have truly never examined before: your full earnings history. Every single year, you worked and contributed to Social Security, dating all the way back to your very first paycheck. Now, here is why this statement can potentially raise your benefit amount. And I want to explain this carefully because this is the section most people misunderstand. Social Security does not determine your retirement payment based only on the last few years you worked or by using a simple lifetime income average. Instead, it selects your 35 highest earning years, adjusts those earnings for inflation, averages them together, and then applies a formula to determine your monthly benefit amount. That 35-year average means everything. It is the single most important figure involved in your entire Social Security calculation, and the only place where you can review the actual earnings data behind that calculation year by year across your working life is your statement. So why does reviewing it sometimes lead to larger payments? Because the information on that statement came from payroll reports submitted by employers throughout your career. And sometimes those reports contain mistakes. A year where an employer reported the wrong earnings amount. A year where the recorded income is far below what you truly earned. A year listed as 0 even though you were employed during that time. Every one of those errors lowers your 35-year average, which means your monthly benefit becomes smaller than it should be. Based on the SSA's own estimates, one missing or inaccurate earnings year can reduce your monthly payment by around $100. That equals roughly $1,200 every year. Across a 20-year retirement, a single incorrect year could cost you $24,000, and the problem continues permanently until somebody discovers the mistake and fixes it. The SSA does not automatically identify these errors for you. There is no routine review, no warning notification, no letter saying your earnings history might contain problems. The information gets entered, your benefit gets calculated, and unless you personally review your statement and compare it with your own records, those errors can remain unnoticed for decades. Who has the highest chance of finding something worth correcting? People who worked for small companies during the 1980s and 1990s, when payroll systems were handled manually and mistakes happened much more often than they do today. People who were self-employed at some point, freelancers, contractors, or anyone who operated their own business and paid self-employment taxes, because errors on tax schedules sometimes cause those years to appear incorrectly in the system or show lower income than what was actually earned and taxed. People who switched jobs often because every new employer created another opportunity for incorrect information to be submitted, and women who changed their surname after marriage or divorce without updating their SSA information. Because if the name in the SSA system does not match the name submitted by the employer, those earnings may never get attached to your record at all and can remain sitting unassigned somewhere in the system. There is another issue worth reviewing that catches many people by surprise. If your record contains fewer than 35 years of earnings because you took time away from work, stayed home raising children, returned to school, or worked in employment not covered by Social Security, the SSA fills those missing years with zeros. Those 0 years are included directly in your average and reduce your benefit amount. But in some cases, those years were not truly empty. Sometimes you actually worked during that time and the earnings were simply reported incorrectly. Discovering one legitimate earnings year that was mistakenly recorded as 0 and correcting it can increase your monthly payment by $50 to $150. Finding 2 or 3 missing years can raise it much more significantly. Here is an actual example of how this happens. A man who spent 3 years employed by a small construction company during the late 1990s checked his statement before retirement and discovered the earnings for those years were listed at only around 60% of what he had truly earned. The company owner handled payroll manually and reported incorrect figures. After submitting a correction request along with his W-2 forms for proof, his monthly benefit increased by more than $340 every month for the rest of his retirement. He never realized that money was available to him until he reviewed the statement himself. So here is exactly what you should do. Visit ssa.gov and create your My Social Security account if you have not done so already. It is completely free and only takes about 5 minutes. Open your statement and locate the earnings history section. You will see a list of every year since you first began working along with a dollar amount beside each year. Your responsibility is to compare those figures against your own records. W-2 forms, previous tax returns, paycheck stubs, or any paperwork you still have available. You are searching for years where the recorded amount is lower than what you actually earned. Years showing 0 despite the fact you were working, and years completely missing from the history. Take your time reviewing it carefully. The most important years are the ones where you earned the highest income because those years carry the greatest weight in your 35-year average. An error during a high-income year affects your benefit much more than a mistake during a lower earning year. If you discover information that does not match, the form you need is called a Request for Correction of Earnings Record, and it is available directly through SSA. You submit the form together with documents proving your true earnings. The strongest proof comes from W-2 forms. And here is something many people never realize. The SSA can provide copies of W-2 records dating back to 1978 at no cost when the purpose is correcting your Social Security earnings history. So even if you no longer have your original paperwork, you still have that option available. SSA generally completes corrections within 10 to 90 days. And once the correction is approved, your benefit amount is recalculated, and the updated payment begins appearing in your monthly check moving forward. One more important point. There is a 3-year period for correcting recent reporting mistakes, but older errors going back 10, 20, or even 30 years may still be challenged if you have proper documentation. Do not assume it is too late simply because the issue happened decades ago. If you can provide the records, submitting the correction is absolutely worthwhile. Your Social Security benefit is built entirely on decades of earnings information. If any portion of that information is inaccurate, your payment will remain lower than it should be until the mistake is identified and corrected. The document that allows you to review everything is completely free, available within 5 minutes at ssa.gov, and carefully examining it is one of the smartest things you can do right now for your retirement income. Most people spend more time reviewing a grocery store receipt than they have ever spent checking the earnings record that determines their income for the remainder of their lives. This is worth dedicating an afternoon to. Visit ssa.gov, open your statement, compare the earnings year by year, and if you notice anything incorrect, submit the correction request. That's everything. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone you know who receives Social Security benefits or is getting close to retirement.